In last session, we just start exception handling, and in exception handling, we are try to understand what is exception. So, in short, exceptions are runtime errors, the errors which occurs at the run times, basically. This is one thing. Second thing, it's unwanted mishappenings at the execution time of the program, and nobody wants exceptions in their life and program both. Um, when exception comes, it disturbs our normal flow. An unhandled exception results abnormal termination of the application, program, or thread. So definitely we want to handle the exception. To handle the exception, we need to understand these five keywords basically: try, catch, finally, throw, and throws. In last session, definitely we try to cover something about try, catch, finally. This is a basic template. Try is a block, catch is a block, finally is a block. So whatever the risky code we can write in the try block. So now there are two conditions. Condition number one, try block may result in exception. Exception can occur in the try block. In this case, immediately catch block will execute, and after that finally block execute, and after that normal flow. Normal flow. But if there is no exception in the try block, definitely try will execute completely. Then no catch block will execute, and then finally will be execute, and then normal flow. Means catch is something which execute when exception occurs. So if you want something when exception comes, when exception occurs, you can write here. So try will contains the risky code. Catch block will tell those actions which can be performed when exception occurs. Finally, we can see whether exception comes or not in the try block. It always executed. So we can say we can write some cleanup code, free the resources, to free the resources. Like it's very classical example when we connect our Java application to the database. So to communicate database, Java will create a connection with the database, and connection is the precious thing. It's a costly thing. It's a valuable thing basically. So it's good to open a connection, communicate with the database. Whatever you want to do, you can do, and in the last you should close the connection. It's your moral duty. It's a good thing. You can use as many as connections. Use it, create it, use it, and close it. Okay, create it, use it, and create it, close it. This is the simple thing. But what happens if we open a connection, we are trying to use, but an exception occurs? So what happened? So definitely in the try block, if we write the connection close, let's say, for better understanding, I will try to write a pseudocode. Pseudocode is something, let's say I have a try block. In the try block, I will write some codes. Open DB connection. Okay, very good. Use it, use this connection, use it. Okay, and then my thought is I will close it. So again, it's perfectly all right. It's perfectly all right. And I will write some catch. If any exception occurs, I will handle. I will not leave my catch block empty, although we can, but it's not a good idea. If you don't have anything, at least you can write this thing: print stack trace. What is stack trace? Don't worry, I will cover in a few moments. And if you want something, you can, okay, leave that, it's okay. So let's assume some scenarios. Let's understand. We open a database connection. Wow. We use it. Wow. No exception. Close it. Everything's fine. Normal code. So, yeah, something like that. But what happened while using if exception occurs? If exception occurs, what happened if exception occurs? Definitely control goes to the sorry, control directly jump to the catch block. This part will execute or not? Yeah, please tell me. This part will execute or not? Hello.
If it occurs, then no, it doesn't execute.
Yeah, if exception occurs, then this part is not execute. So what the meaning? We open the connection we are trying to use. While using the connection, there is an exception, and the code for closing it not executed. So connection is not closed. So it is unused right now. Nobody can use it. But again, it's a wasting the resources. So one person can say, okay, you can write this code here as well as here. So if there is no exception, try block will close the connection, and if there is an exception, catch block will close the connection. Yes,
Mhm.
yes, it's look better. It's look better, but the problem is that we are trying to redundant the code. We are trying to duplicate the code. Same code we are writing twice. It's not a good idea. Although, so how I can do? We know that we have finally block and finally always executed. You know that no or no?
Yeah, finally, it's
So
a default.
we should write the cleanup code here. Whether exception comes in try block or not, finally will always execute. So what happened? The closing connection code will be executed and it will close the connection, whether exception occurs or not.
Okay,
That's the funda of the finally block. I hope this part is clear.
okay.
No? Wow. 22.
There's no point of putting close it before finally,
Can you explain one more time?
right? There is no point of putting that close it before the finally,
Before where? Line number.
before finally in line number is 816.
816. Like here.
Yeah, there is no. What I'm saying is, there is no point of putting
Actually, we
close it.
cannot write anything between try and catch and between catch and finally. These are means we cannot write any statement. If I write something, let's any statement,
Mhm.
it's a compile time error. We cannot write. After the try, immediate catch will execute. Okay, we cannot write anything here. After the catch, if we are trying to write finally, immediate. We should not write any logic between the catch and finally. It's a compile time error. Okay?
Yeah, we should always write after finally.
Yes. I'm going to show different forms of try block. Okay? Try catch block. Let me open Eclipse. Yeah. Different form of try and catch, and finally. The simple form is try, catch, finally. This is the most simple format. Try, then catch, then finally. But we can have uh, yeah, first thing, sequence must be same. We cannot write try, finally, catch. No. We cannot write catch, try, finally. No. Sequence must be same. Getting?
Mhm.
A try block can have zero or more catches and or zero or one final. Okay, fine. No fine. अभी कैसे समझ में नहीं है. Let's say. Um, let's say new Java project. November 22. No. Yeah. Here I'm going to create a class sample. So I will create different methods. Inside the different methods, I will create different try catch finally combinations. So let's say void m1 equal to. So we have try, control space, hit enter, and I will write finally. Sorry. Finally, yeah. Wow. Okay. This is one combination. Anyone have any problem? Some risky codes. ठीक है, risky code ठीक है. And cleanup code. Wow. Okay. This is one way. Second thing, you can see a try block can have zero or more catches and zero or one finally. So here we have only one finally. Here we have zero finally. So try catch finally. Okay. Here try with one catch, zero finally. Okay. So let something like that. try one catch 0 finally इसको भी कुछ ऐसे ही करूँ try one catch one finally है ना wow next let's say we are not going to create any catch it is possible no it is not possible it is
No,
not
it's not.
hello
It's not.
it's not possible but don't worry I will show you something similar to that and in that time there is no error okay but still it's not possible it is not possible or try without हाँ ये तो लिखा ही नहीं मैंने ना हाँ, ये तो लिखा ही नहीं। Try without catch or finally or catch finally without try is an error yeah you can see sorry so okay fine more catch means we have multiple catches but exception type should be different so here's let's say null pointer exception here let's say arithmetic exception now for different type of exception we have different type of plan of action for different type of problems we have different type of plan of actions so you can see a try can have multiple catches more catches yes or no okay one finally but we cannot have more than one finally okay we don't have more than one finally the catch have privilege yes yes or no
Yes.
yes so these are the legacy one legacy means they are starting they are present from the starting now I'm going to tell you in Java 7 in Java 7 they introduced try with resources try with resources अरे भाई, resources okay what is this basically what happened you can see typically finally is used for the free the resources to free the resources the main aim the main goal of finally is nothing but clean up code to free the resources okay so Java 7 set key if you want to write yeah बटन easy है just one minute yeah try with resources so open the try like this and write some resource okay so इसको मैं कैसे बताऊं यार let's say scanner sc scanner sc equal to new scanner and system dot in Yeah, earlier, suppose I want to read data from the client user. So what we can write? Scanner sc equal to new scanner system dot in means keyboard. I want to read data from system dot in. That means keyboard. Okay. I will perform some reading writing. Let's say sys out. Enter your name. Okay. So definitely I will get the name with the help of scanner dot next. It will return my name. Again, I want to input age. Just for example, enter your age. So in type and the variable will name age, and this time I will ask this thing. This out. Hello, whatever the name and your age is, whatever the age. So I will break it. Instead of name string, I will use name variable. Instead of age string, I will use age variable. Okay, this is my perfect example, and I will close here. So wow, I create a resource. A scanner means it will give the connection to the keyboard to read the data. Okay, so I open a scanner class object. That's mean a connection with keyboard, and I display the message. Enter your name. Okay, whatever I will enter, it will store in the name variable. Then again I will ask enter your age. Definitely it will return the age, means whatever user or customer enters. Let's say I will run the program. Main, I will call this method. So sample equal to new sample and sample dot this method. Okay, so let's see. Right click, run as Java application. You can see enter your name, Musa, your age, let's say 36. Hello Musa, your age is 36. Wow, it's working. And if everything goes well, it will close the connection to the keyboard. It's nice. But what happens if exception comes? Definitely, let's say मैं यहाँ पे लिखता हूँ sys out try ends. Okay. Catch ends. Let's say finally ends. Let's again run the same application. Enter your name, Musa, your age, let's say 16. So hello Musa, your age is 16. Try and successfully, finally and successfully. Wow, no need of catch because there is no exception. But run one more time. Right click, run as Java application. Enter your name, Muhammad Musa. You can see it's asked for the enter, but it's give the catch block. Catch block means exception occurs. So let's make some our catch block intensive. So we should always write this statement, print stack trace. Actually, it will print the problem. It will print the problem. So we know that here catch block execute. That means exception occurs, and there is no try block ends. Means exception occurs. But where exception occurs, what exception occurs, we are not able to understand. We want complete stack trace. Where exception comes, which kind of exception comes. So this part, e dot print stack trace. Let's see the magic. Your name. Okay, you can see try ends will never execute it, and catch will execute it, and you can see there is an exception. Input type mismatch is exception. Actually, next will only assume a single word. Next will only assume a single word. If somebody gives multiple words, it will give the exception. For multiple words, we have to use next line. Now this program will work fine. Yeah, you can see it's working fine. But still, I want to show you exception. So you can see when exception comes, try not executed, catch executed actually. So this part is not executed. So what you can do, you want to write here. You want to write here. Okay. But here is the two problem. First of all, scanner variable is local variable to the try block. So we need to create a scanner outside the class. Something like that. We create the variable outside, but we are creating the scanner object inside. Okay, fine. So now error gone. But again, the problem is we are using same line twice. This is not correct place. This is not the correct place. The correct place is the finally block. So remove from here and put into the finally block. No need here. No need here. Means, are you able to understand or not? और सभी ऊपर से जा रहा है. Hello. Hello.
Yes, yes.
And what about others?
Hello. I'm there.
Yes. Are you getting 50%, 40%?
Yeah, little bit.
Okay. So, so I'm telling by this example, if we are using something precious, it's our moral duty to close it. So correct place of closing resources finally. But you can see we are using finally for what? We are using finally for what?
Cleanup code.
To write cleanup code, to free the resources. Yes. So means again, this is again hat-trick task for me. I should write a finally block just because close the resources. If I want to do only this part, there is a better approach from the Java 7. Let me copy from the Java 7. I have a better approach. What better approach? I will remove finally block, because try with resource says no need of finally block. And if you open your resources here along with the try block, if you open your resources here, so now it's the responsibility of the JVM. JVM will close the resource. Number one thing. You can see. Try with resource, you open a resource in the try block. So now you don't need to close it. Getting my point? Because JVM will ensure that this resource will be closed whether exception comes or not. So you can see it's more cleaner code than this. Getting? This is the try with resources. And you can open multiple resources, not only one. After the semicolon, you can add one more resource. So whatever the number of resources you open, it will automatically close at the end of the statement, whether you close it or not. And explicitly, you don't need to close. It will close implicitly, automatically.
automation.
automatically. नहीं समझ में आ रही बात. Repeat. So
What was it? Automatically, or what did you say?
No, correct word is automatically, but I said automatically. Okay. So this is try with resources. One more thing comes with the Java 7. Try with multi catch. Instead of writing this kind of thing in from Java 7, we can write something like that. Same type in English. If two exceptions are entirely different type of exceptions, so instead of creating multiple catch block, we can write something like this. So this is one new feature comes with the Java 7 also. Okay, so I don't want to go in depth. So basically these are the basic format. Okay, now you need a code. Definitely I will give the link of my repository from where you can get this kind of code. Don't worry, I will explain. So I'm done with the try catch finally. It's very easy. Try will contain the risky code. Catch will write the logic what it have to do when exception occurs. Finally, to free the resources, but from Java 7 I will only prefer this part, this kind of syntax. Okay, so I'm done. Next keywords are these two keywords, throws and throw keyword. So what they are? Okay, I will try to complete throws first. So that's why I will write throws first. Yeah, throws. When we comes to the throws, throws clause. When we comes to the Java, in Java exceptions are two type. There is a two type of exceptions. Okay, one is unchecked exception. Okay, this is one category. Second category is checked exceptions. Okay, checked exceptions. So if somebody asks how many types of exceptions we have in Java, what do you will say? Please tell me. Hello.
Oh, two exception.
Two types of exception, not two. Two types of exception. Two types of exception. Checked exception and unchecked exceptions. Okay. So I'm not able to understand what is checked exception and what is unchecked exception and what is the difference between these two, and when we are using checked exception and when we will use unchecked exception. I don't know. Okay, even we don't know. So let's try to understand. object of E capital error runtime runtime exception and their subclasses are called unchecked exception. Okay. Object of E capital error runtime exception and their subclasses are called unchecked exceptions. Okay. Here all other classes are called checked exception. All other classes I don't know other classes. Let's see the diagram. Exception. I think this one is good. Yeah, this is the diagram. You can see. I just write some basic classes. First and foremost, in the top there is a throttable class. Are you able to see?
Mhm.
Throttable class have two child classes. Which one?
Error and the exception.
Yeah, error and the exception. Very good. E capital error and E capital exception. Very good. Just one more minute. Just one minute. Yeah. So, wow. Leave the error for the time being. Okay, come to the exceptions. Exceptions are categorized into multiple subclasses. Runtime exception, IO exception, SQL exception, Papa exception, Mummy exception, lots of kind of exception. For example, I just pick up the IO exception. IO exception again is a subclass, file not found exception, and so many things. Okay, and if we talk about the runtime exception, there are some popular exceptions like null pointer exception, arithmetic exception, array index out of bound exception, illegal state exception, type mismatch exception. So many types of exceptions comes under the runtime exception.
Runtime.
So, okay, so you can see the black is treated as a black box treated as an unchecked exception and red box treated as a checked exception. Okay, so what I write? Object of error, runtime exception, and their subclasses are called unchecked exception. Same thing.
Mm.
E capital error, runtime exception, and their subclasses comes into the which category?
Unchecked.
Unchecked. ये सारे लोग अनचेक्ड हैं, बाकी दुनिया में सब कुछ क्या है?
Checked.
Checked. Now this part is clear or not? पहचानना सीखे कि नहीं सीखे? Are you able to now recognize which exception comes under the which category? If it is E capital error or runtime exception or their subclasses, that's mean it is
unchecked exception.
and rest are checked exception. So if I asked file not found exception is a checked exception or unchecked exception?
File not found is on a checked exception.
Checked exceptions.
Very good. Very good. Zabardast. Okay. So now, but what is the difference between checked exception and unchecked exception? Let's, for example, I have an IO exception and I have a runtime exception. Both are exceptions. Both occurs at the runtime. If both occurs and we are not handled it, our program will terminate. So what is the difference between runtime exception and IO exception? This is the main problem. बहुत से लोग बेचारे इस बात का जवाब नहीं दे पाते इंटरव्यू में, फंसा लेता है इंटरव्यूअर. ठीक, तो इसको बहुत अच्छे से समझेंगे. We should try to understand in a great manner. What is the difference between checked exception and unchecked exception? Keep this point in your mind. Exception always comes at the compile time. Yes.
Yes.
अच्छा, compile time पे exception आती है. When exception occurs?
So compilation.
No, exception is a runtime error. Exception always occurs at the runtime when we execute the program. मैंने जानबूझ के गलत सेंटेंस बोला कि I want to check your presentability. Exceptions always occur at the runtime. मैं इस प्रोग्राम को चलाऊंगा तब exception आएगी या नहीं आएगी पता चलेगा. There is no compile time problem.
Yeah, compile is already done.
Yeah, compilation result. When I try to run for few inputs, it will work fine. Let's say name Raja, age, something like that. But for some input, exceptions. The exception always comes when? When exceptions are the runtime phenomena. Exceptions are runtime. Okay, so whether it's runtime exception, whether it's a null pointer exception, whether it's a mummy papa, any kind of exception, it will occur only
During the execution
runtime
of
at the time of the execution of the program. Yes,
yes.
yes. So again, what is the difference? Okay, I'm writing the difference. I'm telling the difference. Sample 1, Control C, Control 2, Sample 2. Let's say I have two methods, void m1. Okay. Here I will use let's say let a equal to 10 int b equal to 0 int c equal to a divided by b sys output plus c. Yeah, tell me if somebody क्या बदतमीजी कॉपी कर लो, चोरी करना अलाउ है कोडिंग में. हाँ, sample 2, let's say yeah. So tell me, if I run this program, so there is 0% guarantee, 50% guarantee, or 100% guarantee to come to accept to occur an exception.
What equals to
0%.
जीरो पॉसिबिलिटी? अरे भैया देयर इज 100% पॉसिबिलिटी। जब भी हम जीरो से डिवाइड करेंगे अरिथमेटिक एक्सेप्शन आएगी 100%। इस प्रोग्राम को आप 100 बार चलाएंगे 100 बार एक्सेप्शन आएगी। Why? Because we are simply dividing the a number by zero. You can see it's 100% guarantee. Lucky draw चल रहा है 100%। 100%। Okay, but still compiler is not giving any kind of error. Compiler simply compile our code, and at the time of execution JVM will throw an exception. Yes.
Yeah.
And you can see arithmetic exception. Arithmetic exceptions is the found in the category of checked or unchecked.
Arithmetic is a wrong.
Unchecked.
Unchecked exception means compiler won't check it. Compiler won't check it. You can see there is any error. Compiler is not checking these exceptions. That's why it's called unchecked exception. Let's create one more code. M2. I'm going to write some code. You don't need to understand actually those code, but still I'm going to write some code. Suppose I have buffered reader, they are equal to buffer reader new input stream reader input stream reader, let's say system.in. okay, and I write sys out, enter your name. String name equal to br.read line. Wow. Enter your age. Int age. But read line will always give the string, so I have to convert the string into the number. So for this I will write some code. You don't need to understand the code, I'm again saying. And this is out, which is it. Yeah, okay, I will talk little bit later. Let's say copy this code one more time, and again I'm going to write one more code, M3. And I will use same thing but in a different manner. And in the last I will close the close. Same, I used buffer reader here, so what I will do, I will close br.close, just for similarity. We can do same things with two different approach. One is scanner. I prefer this thing because I don't need to convert a string into the number, something like that, but I have to convert here. This is the extra part. But the main problematic part, you can see there is no error. Where is 100% guarantee? There is no error. Where is 50% guarantee? Because if somebody give multi-line word, if multi-word Just mean exception. Multi. Okay. So there is a 50% guarantee. But here I am writing, I am telling 0.00001% guarantee. Type mismatch. Type mismatch. Exception. You can see 100% guarantee but no error. 50% guarantee but no error. Here is 0.00001% guarantee but still compiler given error. Why? Why? Compiler is checking, and which kind of exception is possible to come?
To check the error exception.
IO exception, simply IO exception. And IO exception belongs to which category? Checked exception. Means if we write some code and inside that code there is a possibility of any checked exception, compiler will give the error. Compiler won't compile our code. You can see an unhandled exception type IO exceptions means there is a possibility of IO exception. That's why it's giving the error. Oh my god. But
Okay.
here is the 50%, here is the 100%. Why? Because these exceptions, arithmetic exceptions and type mismatch exception, are found in the which category? Unchecked exception. Means let's try one more time. Whether exceptions comes or not, it will find out at the runtime. Okay. But the problem is that for the checked exceptions, compiler will give the error. Why it is giving the error? What compiler wants from us? It wants assurance. We should handle these exceptions. Either we can write try catch. It says write try catch. That's it. And let's say I have exception. That's it. Now error gone. I didn't do anything except I write this code into try catch. अगर कुछ परेशानी है तो कंपाइलर कहेगा भैया या तो ट्राई कैच लगा के मामला हल कर लो. Try your conflicts with the try catch. Due to any reason, you don't want to use try catch. आपने कसम खा ली, मैं मम्मी की कसम खाता हूँ, try catch नहीं लिखूंगा. Something like that. Now, second option can be, you can see, it says throws declaration. It says throws. What's the mean throws? It will अपने घर के सामने एक बोर्ड लगा लेगा. Throws IO exception. जैसे ये लाइन लिखी ना, दो वर्ड, ठंडा हो गया कंपाइलर. What's the meaning of these lines? These lines means M2 method says I have a code which can result in this kind of exception, and the main thing is I'm not the one who will handle it. My caller will handle that. Now I shift the responsibility of the handling exception to the caller. Who calls me, he will be the responsible for handling this kind of exception. I won't. So compiler कहता है okay, go, please go. Getting my point or not? So throws clause, we can use throws clause in front of method to describe this thing, to dictate this thing. This method can contain the code which can result in IO exception, and it is the responsibility of the caller of the method. Let's say I am writing same code sample2 dot, but this time let's say M3. No problem. But let's see sample2 dot M2. Problem start. Why? Because M2 says I can throw this kind of exception. Oh my god. And this exception is which category? checked exception or unchecked exception?
The on
Sorry,
ex-
checked exception, checked exceptions. So that's why again error here. Compiler says either use try catch. Wow, either use try catch. If you don't want,
let me try catch is for them to
yeah,
catch the right, not to fix the error.
I'm telling,
Catch it.
yeah, I'm telling. अगर मान लीजिए मेरा आपका किसी बात पे लड़ाई झगड़ा हो जाए, किसी बात पे, ओके, सबसे अच्छी बात तो ये है कि वी शुड ट्राई टू सेटल डाउन दो थिंग्स एज सुन एज पॉसिबल. मैं आपसे माफी मांग लूं, आप मुझसे माफी मांग लीजिए, अगर एक दूसरे के पैसे ले रखे हैं, चीजें ले रखी हैं, जल्दी से वापस कर दीजिए, बात खत्म हो जाएगी. ये सुनो, क्विक सोल्यूशन है ट्राई कैच. माफ कर दिया आपने, मैंने आपको माफ कर दिया, बात खत्म हो गई, आगे नहीं जा रहे कहीं. दूसरा सोल्यूशन हो सकता है, आपने कहा मैं पुलिस कंप्लेन करूंगी, हम कर दीजिए, कोर्ट केस चल रहा है, शिकायत इधर से उधर जा रही, मींस वी जस्ट ट्रांसफर आवर कंप्लेंट टू द हायर एंड हायर एंड हायर अथॉरिटीज. मसला सुप्रीम कोर्ट के पास गया, उसने 5 साल की सजा आपको दे दी, 10 साल की हमको दे दी. तो फिर आदमी कहेगा कि ये तो गलत हो गया बयान. सो अगेन, if you want to handle problem same time, you can use
IO exception.
try catch. Try catch. और मैं आपको एक बात बता दूं हिंदी में बहुत बढ़िया, कि एक्सेप्शन सिर्फ कैच ब्लॉक से ही हैंडल होती है, बाकी तो आप इसको ट्रांसफर कर रहे हैं ना. मैंने मान लीजिए एक मिनट, अरे भाई यहाँ पे कितने लोग हैं, ठीक है, लकेश्वर, सपोज मैंने लकेश्वर से कहा लकेश्वर आपके घर के पास रसगुल्ले बहुत बढ़िया मिलते हैं, लेते आइएगा कल, ठीक है. तो सबसे बढ़िया बात क्या है, व्हाट इज द बेस्ट पॉसिबल सोल्यूशन?
लेके आना है और खाना है.
मतलब लकेश्वर मुझे रसगुल्ला ला के दे दे और मैं वो स्वीट्स खा लूंगा, बस बात खत्म हो जाएगी. इट्स वेरी सिंपल थिंग. मान लीजिए लकेश्वर किसी वजह से वो रसगुल्ला नहीं लाना चाह रहे, मतलब पैसे की बात नहीं है, बस किसी वजह से नहीं लाना चाह रहे, तो इन्होंने क्या किया, रसगुल्ला लेके, हाँ रसगुल्ला नहीं लाए. मैं क्लास में आया अगले दिन, मैंने इनसे कहा कि लकेश्वर वेयर इज माय रसगुल्ला, तो लकेश्वर बोले कि मैं नहीं लाया. तो मैं गुस्सा हो जाऊंगा, क्लास को बंद कर दूंगा. मींस रसगुल्ला नहीं लाया, इट्स एक्सेप्शन. जब भी एक्सेप्शन आएगी, अनवांटेड सिचुएशन है, मिस हैपनिंग है, व्हाट हैपन, प्रोग्राम विल टर्मिनेट. ठीक. अच्छी बात तो ये थी कि ये मुझे रसगुल्ला ला के दे दें, ट्राई कैच लगा के मामला शॉर्ट आउट कर दें. दूसरा ये हो सकता है कि लकेश्वर मेरे सामने प्रमिला को कह दें कि प्रमिला तुम जो है सर के लिए रसगुल्ला ला देना. ठीक. अब नेक्स्ट डे क्लास में मैं सबसे पहले किससे पूछूंगा, लकेश्वर से, लकेश्वर वेयर इज माय रसगुल्ला. लकेश्वर सेज कि सर आई ऑलरेडी टोल्ड प्रमिला, आई ट्रांसफर माय रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टू ब्रिंग द रसगुल्ला इन द क्लास टू द प्रमिला, प्लीज गो टू द प्रमिला एंड आस्क प्रमिला. तो मैं लकेश्वर से कहूंगा यस यू may leave. Pramila, where is my rasgulla? Because Lakeshwar give the responsibility to you. Here, if exception occurs, nobody is here to handle. JVM ask, हाँ भाई कौन हैंडल करेगा, तुमने तो ट्राई कैच लिखा नहीं है. ये कहेगा सर आई ऑलरेडी टोल्ड दैट, जो मुझे कॉल करेगा ये उसकी जिम्मेदारी है, आप उसके पास जाइए. ओके, हु इज योर कॉलर? माय कॉलर इज मेन. यस मेन ने हैंडल कर लिया. वाह, बात खत्म हो गई. प्रमिला ने मुझे रसगुल्ला ला के दे दिया, बात खत्म हो गई. बट सपोज प्रमिला भी मना कर दे रसगुल्ला लाने को, प्रमिला कह दे किसी और से, ये बात कहां तक पहुंचेगी आखिरी में? मेन तक पहुंचेगी. ये बात कहां तक पहुंचेगी? मेन तक. मेन को कौन कॉल करता है? जेवीएम. अगर शिकायत जेवीएम तक पहुंच गई तो जेवीएम हमारे गुस्से के प्रोग्राम टर्मिनेट कर देगा. मींस थ्रोज क्लॉज से आप सिर्फ कंपाइलर को सेटल डाउन करते हैं. यू जस्ट सेटल डाउन द कंपाइलर, यू जस्ट ट्राई टू रिमूव योर कंपाइल टाइम एरर्स विद द हेल्प ऑफ throws clause. It will not handle the exception. It will transfer the responsibility of the handling exception. Ultimately, exception should be handled by the try or catch. If you don't write the try catch, means your exception will not handled by your own, but it will handled by the default exception handler, that is JVM, and it will terminate your thread or program abnormally. So throws लिखने का क्या फायदा है? एक्सेप्शन हैंडल करने के लिए, या कंपाइलर को ठंडा करने के लिए?
Spoiler करने के लिए.
Yes, yes, okay.
JVM have his finally thing automatically by default, right? Finally,
Yeah, please tell me.
right? Try catch is not there, but JVM has its finally whatever.
नहीं,
Finally,
इट्स नॉट फाइनली बट डिफॉल्ट एक्सेप्शन हैंडलर. अगर आप नहीं हैंडल करेंगे तो कोई ना कोई तो हैंडल करेगा.
right?
भाई मान लीजिए आपने मेरे पैसे ले रही है, वापस नहीं कर रही है, $10 है, 1 साल हो गए लिए, वापस ही नहीं कर रही है. तो अगर आप मेरे पैसे नहीं वापस करेंगे तो मैं क्या करूंगा? मैं पुलिस कंप्लेन करूंगी, वो आपसे वापस कराएगा, है ना?
Right.
So the good thing is you should handle your own exceptions. बट सम टाइम होता है कि मैं M2 मेथड में नहीं हैंडल करना चाह रहा हूं, तो आई जस्ट पास दिस रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टू द कॉलर. तो अच्छी बात है कि कॉलर उसको हैंडल कर ले. अगर कॉलर भी पास कर देगा तो ओके, आई डोंट हैव एनी प्रॉब्लम. बट एट द एंड ऑफ द डे, इफ एक्सेप्शन अकर्स and during the whole calling method chain nobody handles it, that's mean who will handle? The default exception handler, that is JVM. And what is the way of handling? It will close the program, it will terminate the program abnormally. This is the way of handling of JVM. Clear? This is throws. Last point, throw keyword. अच्छा, यहाँ पे लिख देते हैं एक पॉइंट में. Compiler won't check. Why? Because they are either programming mistakes or irrecoverable. Yes. Let me explain this thing. I want to. I will take few minutes and yeah, I will run the session. All other classes are called during exception classes. If there is a chance compiler gives error, to handle them either by using try catch or transfer the handling responsibility to the caller method. I'll give the error to handle either by using try catch or transferring the responsibility to the caller method by using throws clause. By using, have to focus. Yeah, this is the part. Why unchecked exceptions are not checked by the compiler? Because these are either irrecoverables or programming mistakes. What's the meaning by irrecoverables? Let's for example E capital error. You are keep creating objects. Sooner or later heap memory will be full, and there might be a chance there is no space for the new objects. In this case, what happened? हाँ भाई बताइए, what happened in this case? if there is no memory available for allocation of new objects, what happen? Out of memory error will occur and you cannot do anything. These are irrecoverables. जिस तरह मौत irrecoverable, एक बार कोई इंसान डेड हो गया किसी भी वजह से, if somebody is died, दुनिया की कोई ताकत, कोई डॉक्टर, कोई दवा, कोई इंजेक्शन उसको वापस जिंदा बोलते नहीं कर सकते, बिकॉज डेथ इज इरिकवरेबल. किसी आदमी का एक्सीडेंट हो गया, क्या करेंगे? हॉस्पिटल ले जाएंगे कि उसको दफना देंगे?
हॉस्पिटल ले जाएंगे.
क्यों हॉस्पिटल लेके जाएंगे भाई? पहले चेक करेंगे, फर्स्ट वी विल चेक. अगर जिंदा है तो ऐसा थोड़ा ना करेंगे कि अरे यार हाथ पैर टूट गया बेचारा, क्या करेगा, जी के चलो इसको ले चलो कब्रिस्तान, वहां गड्ढा कुट के गाड़ दो. अब तो उसके हाथ पैर टूट गए, बेचारा कुछ कर नहीं पाएगा. नो नो, अगर वो जिंदा है, इफ इज स्टिल अलाइव, तो हम डॉक्टर और पूरी इंसानियत कोशिश करेगी कि उसको बचाया जाए. ठीक है, हाथ काम नहीं करेगा, ओके, वी विल मैनेज. पैर भी काम नहीं करेगा, अगेन वी विल मैनेज, बट उसको जिंदा रखना है. बट अगर एक्सीडेंट हुआ और somebody is died, सर्टेन मौत हो गई उसकी ऑन द स्पॉट, अब उसके अब्बा आ रहे हैं, भाई आ रहे हैं, कह रहे हैं मैं $10 लाख खर्चा कर दूंगा और ये कर दूंगा और वो कर दूंगा, ये इस पे हमला कर देंगे, ये कर देंगे, लेकिन मेरे बेटे को जिंदा कर दो. सॉरी, नहीं हो सकता, नहीं हो सकता, सॉरी, डेथ इज इरिकवरेबल. सो इरिकवरेबल चीज को हैंडल करने से कोई फायदा है? अरे
Unrecoverable.
what happened?
It's unrecoverable error.
Yeah, irrecoverable means error is irrecoverable. That's why we are compiler won't force you. Compiler won't force you to handle, because इसको handle करने का कोई फायदा ही नहीं है. Runtime errors, null pointer exception. Let's talk about this part. Yeah, let's talk about the arithmetic exception. Simple. Yeah. So suppose I write this code and right click and run as. And there is an exception. So how to handle this application? How to handle this exception? If somebody told me use try and catch this out. Oh, something problem. जो भी स्पेलिंग होती है. ठीक है, we can write this thing. Let's see. Something problematic, जो भी स्पेलिंग है. Again, this is the worst kind of code I wrote. अरे भाई, इसको हैंडल नहीं करते हैं, रन टाइम एक्सेप्शंस को कभी भी हैंडल नहीं करते हैं. वी शुड नेवर राइट द ट्राई कैच फॉर द रन टाइम एक्सेप्शंस. व्हाई? दीज आर द प्रोग्रामिंग मिस्टेक. तुम डिवाइड ही क्यों कर रहे हो जीरो से? मतलब ठंड आ रही है, द विंटर इज कमिंग बेसिकली, सो हम बच के रहेंगे या पहले खूब सुबह शाम कम कपड़ों में बाहर टहलेंगे, आइसक्रीम खाएंगे, ठंडा पानी पियेंगे, देर रात को नहाएंगे, क्या करेंगे? बच के रहेंगे कि ये सब काम करेंगे?
बच के रहेंगे.
हाँ, सोचेंगे कि अरे बीमार होंगे तो दवा खा लेंगे. अरे दवा खाने की नौबत ही क्यों आए? सो वी शुड नॉट हैंडल दिस काइंड ऑफ एक्सेप्शन. कभी नहीं हैंडल करेंगे इनको. तो वी शुड अवॉइड. हाउ वी कैन अवॉइड? if b not equal to 0, then only I will do this thing. अब दुनिया की कोई ताकत इसमें एरर नहीं ला सकती है.
Right.
Yeah. This is how, let's say, done. So right click, run, it's done. But division is not happened. But suppose if it is 3, right click, the output 3, it's done. No exception. So रन टाइम एक्सेप्शंस को हम कभी हैंडल नहीं करेंगे. We never use try catch, we never use throws for runtime exceptions. We only avoid. This is example 1. Let's say M2 null pointer exception. What is the meaning of null pointer exception? It's a very common exception. It's a very common exception. Every developer encounters with this kind of exception. Null pointer exception. It's how somebody write, let's say, string s1 equal to Java. Okay, no worries. I want to print the number of characters in the s1, so s1 dot length. Wow. So there is, instead of m1 I want to call m2 right now. It will print 4 because the length of the Java array is 4. Wow. But if somebody write this, null means the variable s1 not pointing any object. What happened? Right click, null pointer exception. When you use dot operator on the null value, it will give the null pointer exception. It will give the null pointer exception. What is the solution? We should use try catch? No. Null pointer exception is the runtime exception. We should avoid. How I should avoid? If s1 not equal to null. Yeah. Then I will write this thing. Okay. This is null pointer exception. Array index out of bound exception. Although we already talked about the array index out of bound exception. Array index out of bound exception. Okay. Let's say I have an array string fruits equal to apple, banana, orange, something like that. Suppose I have an array. And I want to print sys out last element of the array fruits. I know the last element should be 0, 1, 2. 2. So definitely it will print orange. Instead of M2 I will use M3. Right click. Wow. Let's say -2. Or make it variable int I equal to -2 and I will pass I here. Right click. It will give array index out of bound exception. -2 is the invalid index. So how I can? Again, if I value is greater than equal to 0 and I is less than whatever the fruits dot length, then only I will allow. So never we will never get the arithmetic array index out of bound exception. Why? Because we are checking only valid index will be used. So these exceptions should not handle. I'm again repeating, never use try catch, finally never use throws keyword for unchecked exception. These are programming mistake. You have to correct your mistake. You don't need to handle. But these are some environmental mistake. कुछ गलतियां आपके हाथों की होती हैं, कुछ गलतियां हालात की वजह से हो जाती हैं. तो जो गलती आपकी से होती है, आपकी वजह से आप उसको सही कर लीजिए इंस्टेड ऑफ उसको मैनेज करने के. जो कभी समय लिया है, सामने की तबीयत खराब हो गया, आपके बुखार आ गया, अब इसमें क्या हो सकता है? मुझे कोरोना हो गया, अब इसमें मेरी थोड़ी ना गलती हो गया तो हो गया. अब कोई सोचे कि नहीं हम जाड़े आ रहे, आइसक्रीम भी सुबह शाम खाएंगे, ठंडा पानी पिएंगे, बेटाइम नहाएंगे, बेटाइम सोएंगे, तबीयत खराब ना हो, तो वो तो हमारी गलती है. Getting?
Yes.
The last thing is, अच्छा चलिए बाकी कल पढ़ाएंगे. Okay. Just 1 minute.